When I was young, mom bought me a guitar, a microphone, and she said I'll go far. She said just keep it raw, the lyrics hardcore. Listen to my talking guitar, I'm on the corner with my.
Hey kids, gather around. It's Wyclef and Melchizedek.
This might be the episode where you call me a bad teacher. I'm gonna have to own it. But listen, if you laugh one time, I mean one time, you can't call me a bad teacher. All right, ring the bell. Class is in session. All right. So as a teacher, there are two things that I absolutely hate. Be very clear what they are. They are meetings and it's paperwork. In fact, I'm gonna put a CGI right here. I hate meetings and I hate paperwork. I hate paperwork that leads to meetings. I hate meetings that come from paperwork. I don't want to do it. And let me be clear here. Grading papers is different than paperwork. Paperwork is called through incidents that may happen, whether it be a fight or a kid's done something wrong. That's the paperwork I'm talking about. I don't like it. I have probably written up less than 4 kids in my entire teaching career, and I've been teaching for almost 13 years at this time. I'm current right now, right? So let's get to it. Let's call this episode 100 hand slaps and I didn't see nothing, okay? You ain't see nothing either. We ain't see nothing because that lead to paperwork, all right? So one of my favorite things to do as a teacher is to do after school clubs. Listen, if you're a first year teacher and you're listening to this, let me get this out the way. If you're not staying after school to build community by doing something after school, that's probably why your classroom management sucks. That also probably means why your kids don't like you. You got to do after school activities. You just got to, because it really helps with building community, all right? So when I was teaching, this is probably year four or five or whatever, but I'm teaching, and after school, I do something called Kicking It with Clarkson, all right? So if you had really great grades or you needed like additional homework help, you could come and kick it with me. And you could I brought my Street Fighter in there, board games. So guys and girls were there and everything else. One of my favorite students of all time, I'm not going to give his real name. I'm going to give his nickname. And he actually follows me on IG. Yeah, I'm telling this story, bro. Half Pint. Half Pint was every bit of like 4'5", had big old glasses. And I mean, he was the coolest kid in the world, man. Half Pint is a good kid, man. He's a good kid. And Half Pint and I would play Street Fighter after school, right? Because, he did really well. He'd always play Street Fighter. I get Chun-Li and he get E Honda, all right? So he was probably one of the greatest E Honda players of all time for those that know Street Fighter. And one of his classic moves is the 100-hand smack. And he would just get to going, yeah, 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 yeah. And he would just get to smacking me up. And sure enough, I would wind up losing him in Street Fighter. And I'm like, how do you keep beating me in Street Fighter? And he's like, listen, with E Honda, if he gets you in a corner, it's over because no one can stop the 100-hand slap. And I was like, all right, cool, man. So, I noticed that Half Pint, I almost said his real name. I noticed that Half Pint was, having some trouble with one of our students that was on that extended stay program. I'm going to go ahead and put that CGI up here, what extended stay program means, okay? Yeah. Him was dumb. You shouldn't call kids dumb. I'm sorry, I might edit that out. I won't. So anyway, one of the kids that was on the extended day program, because he looking like a grown man that's 42 years old that drive a bus and on his 4th divorce. And he took all the kids. And I can't stand her. But anyway, this grown butt kid used to really pick on Half Pint. And, kind of push him around, take his pencil, thump him in the back of the head and everything. And I'd be like, hey, man, you chill out. Fooling with Half Pint, man. You don't do nothing like to him that happened. Be nice to him or whatever. So, I could tell that would really bother, Half Pint's spirit and everything. So one day, man, we're rapping after school. And this is the reason why you need to do after school, right? Pint and I, we sitting there, we talking. And he's like, Mr. Clarkson, I really don't like when, I'm going to just throw a random name here. I don't like when Robert does this to me. I really have problems with it. What do you think I should do? And I told him, I was like, well, listen, in my classroom, you tell me I got your back. I'm not going to let you get in any trouble. I'm not going to let him do anything to you. You just know I got your back. And he's like, I appreciate you having my back. He said, you got my back? I said, listen, I got your back, okay? You know how I roll. I got your back. you don't worry. I got your back, man. I ain't gonna let him mess with you, all right? And he was like, okay. And I said, if any teacher says anything, he messes with you in front of the teacher, you tell the teacher, okay, listen, our jobs is to promote a peaceful community, all right? So don't y'all start on that. I'm just telling y'all what we here to promote. So finally, Robert been fooling with Half Pint, and it's getting progressively worse to the point where I'm calling, Robert's parents, and like I said, he on that extended stay program, in school because y'all saw the graphic come up. I didn't say it that time; it just showed up magically, right, floating on the screen. So anyway, this is the day I think that Half Pint, he just came with it on his mind, right? And, soon as Half Pint walk into the class, here come Robert. Robert takes a pencil and he, if you ever played breaks before, he takes a pencil and, flicks it down right in front of the center of Half Pint's glasses. And them mugs cracked, okay? And Half Pint was like, my mama said nobody's supposed to mess with my glasses. And I'm like, okay. So now I'm seeing the Half Pint done bucked up to Robert. Now this ain't gonna be a good fight, okay? Robert outweighed Half Pint by at least 30 pounds. He's taller than by a couple of inches. Half Pint ain't really got the reach to fool with Robert. It's gonna be a bad fight. In my mind, I'm like, oh Lord, this gonna be some paperwork. It's gonna be some paperwork. I don't really want no paperwork. So all of a sudden, Half Pint look at me. And he look at me with this glare and I'm like, I've never seen Half Pint make this face before. Half Pint pushes Robert in the corner of my classroom. And I'm literally about to jump over the desk because I know that Robert's about to smack the hell out of Half Pint and punch him in the next week. And all of a sudden, Half Pint start giving him that 100-hand smack, and he's like, yeah, 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 yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, yo, Half Pint done went off. Half Pint is literally smacking the hell out of Robert, and the entire class is cheering. Okay, let me tell you another little teacher secret. Listen, if your child is not a favorite child amongst teachers, I will, and many teachers have done it, home run trotted to break up a fight. That means I'm going to move in real slow-mo like this to break up that fight. Because Half Pint was just smacking the hell out of Robert. He must have smacked Robert about 87 times across his face. And he's smacking him and his nose is bleeding. And he's getting all on his shirt. And finally, I have to play the hero. All right, break it up, y'all. Break it up, okay? Now, mind you, as I'm breaking it up, Half Pint is in tears, okay? Because once again, he's a good kid, man. Half Pint didn't want to have to smack that man like that, but he just smacked the hell out that man. So, Half Pint's in the classroom. Robert runs out the classroom. And this is why you should have another teacher on your side that knows what game is. So I'm calming down Half Pint, wiping his tears. The other kids like, that's right. You had to do what you had to do. He been messing with you. He been messing with all of us. Yeah, Half Pint, you smacked him out. That's what you're supposed to do out in these streets. So then all of a sudden, Robert comes in with one of my teacher friends. Once again, it's important to build networks with men in your school hallway. So she comes in and she's like, Robert just came into my classroom and said that Half Pint and him got into a fight. Now listen, I'm going to put the definition of fight up here. All right? You see, a fight is between two people. That means two people had to exchange in the fight. Robert ain't throw no punches. That wasn't a fight. That was a beating. That was a beating. So I said, no, that wasn't no fight. So of course she look at me and I look at her. And we looking at each other like this. And she go, okay. There was no fight. I was like, nah, there wasn't no fight up in here. So sure enough, Rob was like, there was a fight, and you saw it. And everybody's like, nah, we ain't see no fight. We ain't see no fight. Mr. Clarkson ain't see no fight. Yeah. That's why you need to build community, y'all. So anyway, After that happened, Half Pint ain't have no problems with Robert moving forward, man. And I just still to this day laugh about the fact that when old Half Pint pushed Robert in that corner, I knew he was gonna get smacked out. Man, it goes down like that, man. It's important to build community amongst your kids, amongst your teacher friends, because trust me, my favorite part of the story goes like this. So, after school, I talked to Half Pint about it, and he looks at me and says, Mr. Clarkson, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, oh man, I think that he's about to apologize for, hitting Robert. And he says, well, I understand that you had to hit Robert. And Half Pint said, I ain't apologize for hitting Robert. I apologize because I was going to have to make you do some paperwork.